everyone. First, allow me to ask, what truly makes a group discussion successful? Is it perfect harmony where everyone nods in agreement? Or can it be something entirely different? Something we need to think again about. My name is Candice. I used to wonder how I could transform communication with interdisciplinary knowledge. This curiosity led me into the world of competitive debate and into the heart of student leadership. But with each new experience, a quiet realization began to grow. The dynamic tools that work so well for individual connection seemed to falter when faced with a group. I saw it in student meetings and even in my debate team. We were all so eager to find common grounds that we often missed the rich landscape lying just beyond it. We were prioritizing harmony over truth and consensus over clarity. This is the assumption I had to think again about, that agreement equals progress. In our pursuit of this harmony, we often fall prey to something social psychologists call the bandwagon effect. This concept was powerfully demonstrated in the 1950s by psychologist Solomon Asch. In his famous conformity experiments, participants were asked to match the length of a line with 3 comparison lines. Even when the correct answer was obvious, many individuals agreed with the group's clearly wrong choice just to avoid standing out. Asch showed that the need to belong can override our own judgment. Therefore, in group discussions, the first idea often gathers support, not because it's the best, but because it's the first. People follow not out of conviction, but comfort. We're mistaking consensus for clarity and harmony for intelligence. So, I decided to test on a counterintuitive approach. I introduced a devil's advocate rule. In every discussion, one person must argue against the popular opinion, not to disrupt, but to deepen the thinking, much like the rebuttal in debate competitions. For example, when discussing a school recycling drive, someone suggested that we could turn all the collected paper into beautiful handmade notebooks. Initially, it sounded wonderful and creative, but our devil's advocate raised questions. Do we have the equipment to buy hundreds of notebooks? Do we truly have the time for such a massive craft project? We paused and realized the amount of labor involved. Therefore, sending the paper for professional recycling would be far more efficient. What felt in the moments like friction was actually fuel. The conflict wasn't destructive, it was constructive. By redirecting that initial fall of enthusiasm, we didn't kill the idea, we transformed it into something more resilient, more effective, and more inclusive. Scale this up, and we should notice something more dangerous: the echo chamber. Think about the big social media debate you saw. Maybe it was about the ethics and impacts of cancel culture, a modern debate that divides opinions on justice, accountability, and freedom of speech. Or perhaps it was a replay of historical clash of ideas like the legendary 1965 Cambridge Union debate. There, James Baldwin, drawing from the raw and lived experience of Black Americans, argued that the American dream was built on their suffering. William F. Buckley, in contrast, countered with the defense and abstract principles of historical progress. In your social media feed, just as in the whole, you are likely to hear voices amplifying your original judgment, making your side seem more obvious and the other side seem not just wrong, but irrational or even immoral. The algorithm designed to keep us engaged silences dissonant voices before we even have the chance to hear them. We hop on ideological bandwagons, not out of deep conviction, but because it's a path of least resistance within our digital tribe. In this system, harmony is no longer a goal. It's a trap that gives us the illusion of being right while making us intellectually weaker. But what if we brought this devil's advocate principle out of the conference room and into the public square? This means before sharing the angry post about the school policy, your mental devil's advocate would ask, what legitimate concern might a reasonable person on the other side have? Could there be any details I haven't considered? It means deliberately following a thoughtful person you disagree with, not to hate follow, but to understand the structure of their argument. For example, I once followed a commentator who strongly advocated for strict school uniform policies, a view I initially opposed. Instead of dismissing it, I analyzed her core arguments that uniforms reduce economic disparity and daily decision fatigue. Understanding her opinions about equity and cognitive psychology forced me to refine my own position. I now argue for dress codes that balance individuality with inclusivity. As you can see, such action isn't about creating conflicts. It's about practicing constructive friction, the intellectual grit that polishes our own ideas and prevents them from becoming brittle. It's the difference between an echo chamber that allows us to sleep and a public square that wakes us up. We live in a world that often tells us to go with the flow. But I've learned the most responsible thing we can do in a meeting, in a classroom, in life, is to gently, respectfully redirect the flow. True progress isn't born from silent agreement. It's born from the courageous, collaborative tension of diverse thoughts. It's born when we treat our first idea as the starting point and create a space where it's safe to challenge it. Thank you.